Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Duke Oishi.
In our show tonight, we'll cover Oceanit's exhibit of its high-tech hostile fire detection system at the Paris Air Show just a few weeks ago.
Spoke with Pat Sullivan, Oceanit CEO, and his wife Jan Sullivan, Vice President, scientist Glen Nakafuji, and business development associate Zubin Menon to get a handle on their corporate strategy and the results.
You guys decided to go to Paris because you wanted to show some of your technology at the Paris Air Show. So tell us about that decision, pros and cons, and how it arose.
Go ahead.
Well, it's actually not that complicated. It's the largest aerospace show in the world. It pretty much has visitors from every country on the planet, and you have both military and non-military. And the thing about it too is that you've got a close affiliation with the United States that's historic.
But somewhere in there it got to be defense in general rather than just airplanes. Eh?
You've got both all going on at one time. So, I mean, you've got the defense of commercial aircraft, you've got offensive military aircraft, you've got deployment of military technology to protect communities, societies, airports, communities, and you have everything in the middle. So it's a huge event.
Isn't there some concern that when you go to an open situation like this, with or without permission, the wrong people are going to see the technology and be able to emulate it?
We weren't worried about somebody looking at it, taking a picture. We planned on lots of pictures from people that we didn't want to share with. You can't stop that. But it's very hard for them to sort out exactly how it works from taking a picture. It sees anything for long, long distances. And so it can see before a bullet leaves the barrel what kind of weapon it is and physically where is it located. And it can uniquely fingerprint it, differentiate it from anything else. And it can report that back to you in like 1/100th of a second and report it all out at the same time.
And not just fast though, Pat. I mean, they've got systems out there, acoustic systems that detect the sound of bullets and where they're coming from, but accuracy is just as big a problem. Soldiers in Humvees, a bullet echoes in a canyon, you say, you know what, as soon as that system is giving me false alarms 2 times out of 10, what are they going to do? Flip the switch, turn it off.
So this would identify where a bullet was coming from and the rifle or the country that has the rifle that fired the bullet.
Right. So this is extremely accurate, fast, and it'll give you a lot of details about what just happened. So it doesn't just say it's over there, and it'll tell you not only exactly where it is, but details about it, so you can say, well, that's the same guy as yesterday.
The kinds of applications, Jay, really are kind of limitless. I mean, you're looking at it, an earlier version here in a box. We're talking about putting it in a Humvee. In the movie like Restrepo, a forward operating base, a fixed unit looking all around, putting it upside down in the underbelly of a UAV or a large aircraft as it flies over to look down over the battle space.
We also talked to commercial aircraft companies on using this for large aircraft survivability. So if you want to protect a large aircraft that's flying in and out of a potentially hostile area, they'd like to know who's shooting at them, where they're shooting from, and it gives them the ability to make a decision.
Washington State was there with this huge area, and they brought along all of these tech companies from Washington. So in terms of looking down the road, it's something to strive for, that the state of Hawaii could actually try to advertise itself as being able to really project and sell cutting-edge technology, because there were quite a few
states,
14,
quite
15
a few states that
states.
were there.
There were 4 governors. The CODEL was led by Senator Inouye, of all people. If we're looking at where we're going to be in the next 50 years or the next 100 years, if we're going to be a global company, we need to look at acting and operating like that. And the aerospace industry is an incredible industry with a lot of growth upside. And so it makes a lot of sense for us to do that. And rather than the sort of traditional thinking sometimes here is to focus on Asia, the benefit of going to the Paris Air Show is because of the long history the US has with NATO, in particular with France. And it turns out that a lot of companies go there to meet with US military. So we had a lot of very high-ranking 4-star, 3-star, 1-star, lots of them came to the booth. But they're all there at the show.
Yeah.
And so it's counterintuitive because you think that that's not the place to go, but it actually is, because they're looking at the world and how the U.S. is going to compete, how they're going to do their mission. And they always come by the U.S. Pavilion. The U.S. Pavilion, I think, is probably the one that everybody wants to see what's the latest and the greatest, and they come by to see what's going on. So we were surprised, because I think we surprised everybody too.
I mean, coming from Hawaii?
Coming from Hawaii, and I think Jan's point, you don't ever underestimate the aloha spirit.
Well, tell me about the process of setting it up. I guess Zubin was involved in that. I mean, so you have to make an exhibit, and everybody thinks, well, an exhibit, just make some graphics, but it's not that simple, is it?
That's a lot of the bigger companies, the Boeings, the Lockheed, able to put up a big space, put a big plane up, a UAV, a couple missiles, and say, I'm Boeing, I'm Lockheed. We've got a space about 2 meters by 2 meters. So the team here thought about it a little while and said, you know what, why don't we actually build a stand within the booth, place the system in it, the lens looking outward, hook up a display, an active display in which people can engage with. So what we had was the lens looking out, a little robot arm above with a pointer. So somebody would come by and say, well, really, what the heck is that? And you say, well, here, take a look. Give them a little trigger to simulate for the particular demo, a gunshot. Can't be shooting inside the U.S. Pavilion.
Wow.
And as they fired these triggers from across the room, the robot arm swivels and points at the person that's firing.
Oh, it basically puts off, it's a light cannon. So what can I say? Actually worked fine. People were surprised, but it thinks it's a particular weapon.
The team, I mean, they just went over the top on it, honestly, because we were across from these really huge exhibitors with UAVs and all of this, but we were getting all the attention. Our little thing, people would just look at this arm going back and forth and couldn't figure it out.
And they could see that. They could see that it was reacting to something,
Mhm.
and they had to find out what it was.
Yeah.
I can see how that would draw the crowd. And you had a crowd, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had a crowd.
But Jay, part of the work that went into it, of course, you do the booth, you do the demos, you're really going up and setting up shop. But the kind of work that they did also beforehand is making contacts, setting up meetings, identifying who are the people out there. We're not just showing up and say, hey, come look. But I know, the guy from Britain's going to be there, the Turkish guy's going to be there. We've made some contact on email, phone. They know to look for us, we know to look for them.
So you establish meetings, you establish connections in advance.
There have been hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars invested into the research community in Hawaii from the U.S. military, through DOD, through the congressional delegation, through the benevolence of folks like Senator Inouye, who've supported the industry here for a long time. But there is a global market outside of that. And I think what the companies here need to be thinking about is moving outside of just that. Because those investments are very important and they're valuable. And there's unique technology that's been developed from that that could make a difference to the rest of the world. And a lot of that stuff is right here. It's sitting around. People don't realize that there's an appetite outside of Hawaii. And so the aerospace industry is a huge industry. It's growing around the world, and it's growing nationally, and it's something that Hawaii should be participating in. We should have a group that's planning to put a robot on Mars and compete on that level, and then bring that type of technology to this type of place to see if there's others out there we can sell to. So it isn't, the limits on manufacturing are not a function of geography, they're a function of imagination. And we need to get through this phase of thinking we can't do it, because I believe we can. And so this was an important step in going to bigger markets, but it's something as a community we should really be looking at doing. And these are enormous markets. So what would make sense in a few years if there was a small group of companies that wanted to go and the state of Hawaii actually got behind it? That'd make a big difference.
So then you're definitely going back to the Paris Air Show.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we're trying to look at, from a broad strategic standpoint, where are we going to be in 100 years and how are we going to get there, and this is an important step.
in case you were wondering exactly what a hostile fire detection system is and what it means to warfighters and military organizations in the United States and Europe, here's what we learned about it.
The Hostile Fire Detection System, or
Yeah.
HFDS.
Yeah.
And that system is pretty unique. What it is it's an infrared system, so it basically looks for the flash of a gun. Okay, so what it's looking at is a particular band, frequency band of temperature. It's detecting the position of where the flash came and very precisely locates the position and the identity of what's being fired. This sensor is fast enough that it can actually distinguish the differences between different weapons. And so that's a big benefit to a user, because they can now determine, not only where something's firing, but exactly what they're dealing with. Okay, so what you're seeing here is this is a Humvee, and what's shown on top is the HFDS sensor. The HFDS sensor has what's called a fisheye lens, so it can see in 360 degrees. And in this case, what the animation is showing, it picks up a signal, a sun glint. It's called sun glint or reflection, which that's something actually that fools sensors quite a bit. Another source that can confuse infrared sensors are, things like cigarettes, anything that has a hot contrast with the background. In this particular case, because of the speed, the sensor doesn't get fooled by it. Okay, so in this part of the animation, there's actually a sniper that's firing a bullet from a location some distance away. In this particular case, the sensor will be able to determine that this is actually a gunshot, all because of what I mentioned before, that there's a distinctive signature, a distinctive fingerprint from the weapon.
We also talked with Ian Kitajima of Oceanit about this project. He didn't go on the trip, but he was able to give us his perspective on the sea changes that the trip and the exhibit represent for Oceanit.
It was a little bit like, why are we doing the Paris Air Show? Like, isn't that an air show? And as an organization, it pushed us to really rethink who we are and what we do. And that's really important, I think, as companies, as organizations, just in generally in Hawaii. I think at Oceanit, we have a tendency as well to become a little bit more insulated and isolated. And so thinking about Paris really, even if we didn't go, was a good thing, because it started us down a path of thinking about who we are as a company. And it forced us to kind of stretch and really, again, go forward. And so when the decision was made to go to Paris, there was definitely a bit of resistance, something totally new. It's like getting in your canoe and leaving a very safe place.
Yeah.
And to go to Paris, you can think of the Paris Air Show. It's monstrous. I mean, it is a massive show. You have every major player in the world there, not just the U.S., but internationally. And so, we think, wow, we're just this tiny little company. We are in Hawaii. It's very easy to kind of marginalize ourselves and kind of say, well, we don't really matter.
Low expectations.
Yeah, we really don't matter, and what do we have to offer?
Yeah.
But I think when we got there, and as a result of the show, we were we were joking that we were the best little booth in the whole place. You know, we had a very tiny booth. It's like a little mom and pop shop in between Walmart and Target. I mean, that's kind of the relative scale of things there. It's pretty intimidating. But I think what we proved to ourselves in the process of doing all of this work, going to the Paris Air Show and having an incredible showing, was that you know, we kind of put away all the fears of who we are as an organization and started to really rethink and, you know, validate who we are as a company, that what we do and the kind of people we have and our technologies really plays at a global level, not locally, not nationally, but really we're actually can compete on a global level. And I think we would have liked for everyone to have been, I think, at the Paris Air Show, because then, you know, everyone can really feel the experience of, wow, you know, we are actually competitive. In fact, we're pretty good, and we had lots and lots of people come to our tiny little Hawaiian booth, and I want to say thanks to Mike McCartney and the Hawaii Tourism Authority, because they gave us a lot of materials that we took up. And I guess part of the novelty was, you know, you're at the Paris Air Show and somebody hears, yeah, there's like this little Hawaii company, you know, at the Paris Air Show. I would probably want to go and see it and just, you know, wonder what are they doing, you know, like why are they here and what could they possibly have to offer that would make a difference for the world. And I think we proved that in spades. And so we were really fortunate. You know, Pat's a visionary. You know, it's not always easy to kind of sometimes know, but I think once we get into it, I think it became clear that this was more than the Paris Air Show. This was about us as an organization maturing and starting to think on a broader level.
Oh, that's great.
Clearly, the trip was ambitious, daunting, and then also successful for Oceanit and for the local dual-use industry in Hawaii.
It is our fervent hope that other local companies will consider the same kind of outreach, not only at the next Paris Air Show, which will be 2 years from now, but at other such exhibitions around the world. Hawaii has got to think global. I happen to know, Duke, that you've been everywhere. You've traveled everywhere. So I'm going to assume for the moment that you've traveled to Paris.
I've not been to Paris.
Okay, well, it's time to go. Now, the next Paris Air Show is two years from now. And, you know, maybe you, maybe me, maybe both of us, we can go with Oceanit and participate in the next exhibition, the next Paris Air Show. What do you think?
I'm looking forward to it.
We should enjoy Paris, we should enjoy the global markets, and we should make Hawaii famous around the world for its technology.
I think that'd be great for us and for them. And now, here's our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
On August 25th, ThinkTech, the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, and Pacific New Media will present a luncheon panel program at the Plaza Club called Newsmorphosis Redux, featuring a number of speakers from the local news media, examining how the media has done since the closing of the Honolulu Advertiser and the Star Bulletin just about a year ago.
On September 22nd, we'll present another luncheon panel program at the Plaza Club called Update on Agriculture, featuring a discussion of how the new agriculture is doing in Hawaii and whether it can be sustainable.
And now here's Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, with this week's Spensation.
I was in Washington, D.C., and of course the big goings on there were the debate over the debt ceiling, which was quite a comedy of errors. But when I look back at Hawaii, I was really surprised to see how our newspapers aren't giving our leadership the support they need. The Abercrombie administration is barely into its half a year, and technically they didn't really start their year until July 1st. And it seems to me that, we need to give the Gov some breathing room.
Yeah, I sure agree with that. You see so many of these, petty complaints against him when in fact, he's been consistent, he's been passionate, and he's been looking for the greater good on everything. So I feel exactly the same way about it, Bill. If we're going to allow our leaders to succeed, we have to back them up. We have to support them. Not only the people who voted for them, but everyone, because they're our leaders. That's the way it works.
Right. And these are still difficult times. The economy is, very volatile. The debt ceiling thing is just illustrative of what's happening in every state. Tough decisions have to be made. There's no real easy out. And when the Gov has to make those tough decisions, we should support him. Yeah. And I think tech really has to step up, because tech's our best hope. As you know, we've said for years that diversifying the Hawaii economy with a strong tech sector is one of the best chances we have of attracting revenues to the state rather than importing people to spend their money here. And so I think the tech sector needs to really speak out and support the Gov, help him get his footing, and help him grow the economy.
Now, on another note, or a related note, Newsmorphos is coming up. That will be on August 25th.
That's right.
Last Thursday in the month, I guess. We are very interested in that program because that talks about how the media is doing in the year since both the Honolulu Advertiser and the Star Bulletin went out of business. And wow, as we get closer to it, it gets to seem larger and more important, don't you think?
That's really true, and I think it's a good time to revisit the prognostications of our panelists about the changing nature of journalism. Did Civil Beat acquire eyeballs? Has it become a player in the media marketplace in Hawaii? And what's happening on the national scene? There's the Murdoch debacle, which really shines a light on how the extent to which journalists go to try and break stories and get readers.
Yeah.
It's a real interesting time, and I'm glad we're revisiting the Newsmorphos topic.
Yeah. And there are new issues now that didn't exist a year ago. There are new things happening that we could not have predicted.
That's right.
There are new challenges for, what seems like fewer and fewer media. So, it's a pillar of our society, of our democracy. We'd really better stay on it. I think this is a program we have to look at on a regular basis, actually.
I agree. But you can start by coming August 25th, the Plaza Club, ThinkTech, and Hawaii Venture Capital Association bringing you Newsmorphos Redo.
See you there. See you then. Thanks,
Aloha.
Ben.
In our effort to keep up with Rechung, Fujihira, and Hassan Scott in the development of their startup co-working business, here's another episode on how they're doing, featuring their business associate, Tony Stanford.
Is the website done?
Yes, the website is up, and we've been getting a positive feedback on it, and it looks really great, professional, and clean. We encourage everyone to go out on theboxjelly.com. If you have comments or ways you think we can improve it, please email us at info@theboxjelly.com. With continuing getting the word out, we're still working with our face-to-face, going out to the community. We're selling prepaid hour certificates, and it's a great way to get out there and talk face-to-face.
So what is co-working a movement? You guys have talked about that before.
Co-working is a movement. It started a few years back, less than 5 years ago. And what it really is it's a new lifestyle of working. People who are independent, they don't necessarily have a boss. They may have a boss, but they choose when they work. They choose how they work. A lot of times you find them out at Starbucks. You won't find them because they're in their house, And what co-working does is it makes it so independence, you can be independent, but you don't have to be alone anymore. You can work in a group with other independents on your solo things, but you can talk and you still have the camaraderie that you get with your coworkers.
So you guys are not only selling co-working, you're doing co-working.
Yes,
Definitely.
absolutely.
So what co-working ideas have you come up with since we met last?
Web design. So Devin, who designed our website, he's been getting more and more interested into web design. So Devin and I have secured our first client, and we're going to start doing web design using WordPress. Also, last night we had a meeting. I do an entrepreneurial camp called Camp Biz Smart. It's headquartered in the mainland in Silicon Valley. Just got back there last week. Just came from Punahou. So not only are we doing co-working and entrepreneurship, but we're also teaching it as well.
Okay. Are you getting a substantial business yet? I mean, are people coming in and swiping their cards or whatever in order to give you, cash revenue?
We're seeing a lot of interest right now in using it for meetings. One person we're working with is an independent producer. They want to use part of our space in their new movie. They are looking to bring a corporate scene, and they want to use our space. So we're finding we're getting a very different array of people using our space.
Moving forward, what's the next step?
Ignite. Ignite is one of the first steps. So we're going to be on August 18th. We're going to be doing Ignite. And we're going to be hosting it at the Box Jelly. It's going to be an event where it's similar to a TED Talk. If you think about TED Talks, you shrink them down to 5 minutes and you do them back to back. That's what we're going to be doing at the Box Jelly. So if you're interested in that, you can email us info@theboxjelly.com.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation, which supports a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, and CEO of CBI Polymers, a tech company in Hawaii.
Oceanit, another local tech company and the star of our show, is one of Hawaii's largest and most diversified science and engineering companies.
Don't forget ThinkTech. We're funded by gifts and grants from people like you. Please help us out by making a contribution on thinktechhawaii.com. That wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Duke does and Lori Wingard too. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks for joining us on ThinkTech.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.